Okay, before we talk about everyone's new 101 in Dynasty startups in Damien Pierce, I do need to throw all jokes to the side and just thank you. We just passed 20,000 subscribers on the Dynasty channel. Back when I started playing Dynasty in 2014, I would imagine that there weren't even a total of 20,000 people that played Dynasty Fantasy. Thank you. That's all I have to say. I truly appreciate all of you, and I'm going to continue to try to do everything that I can to provide you good content, horrible takes, and allow you to laugh at me down there in the comment section. But let's dive right into this, and let's talk about some players that have been skyrocketing up in Dynasty Fantasy Football value in particular. And we're going to be using Keep Trade Cut. I like their 30-day trend line that we can just go through, and we can get an idea of what the overall Dynasty market is, because when I play with a bunch of people from the flock in our Dynasty leagues, maybe we are in our own little bubble here. And the first guy I want to talk about is someone that I legitimately think could be the quarterback one overall this season. He is one of my most drafted players on Underdog, one of my most drafted players for 2022 in particular. But in Dynasty, this hype's gone too far. Jalen Hurts. Now with Jalen Hurts, he is in a situation to smash. From a fantasy football perspective, I mean, he's playing behind the top offensive line in the NFL. You're adding in A.J. Brown, who I can possibly make the argument for as a top 5 wide receiver talent at the position. You have Devonta Smith going into year 2. You have, in my opinion, a very, very good tight end in Dallas Goedert. You have running backs catch the ball. I mean, this was a mid-quarterback one last year on a points per game basis. Yeah, with all this, I think that the value's gone a little bit too far for Jalen Hurts in Dynasty Fantasy Football leagues in particular. Let's look at where he was at the very beginning of this offseason. The very beginning of this offseason, Jalen Hurts, I mean, had a low point of being valued around the quarterback 16 in Dynasty. He's risen up to now he is the quarterback 8. He has risen up before someone like Dak Prescott, before Breece Hall. So you're saying that he's worth more than the 101 in this year's rookie class. And I can't get behind this. And the reason for this is not because the production this upcoming season, because trust me, like I said, on Underdog in redraft leagues, he is one of my most drafted quarterbacks. And at the same time, Jalen Hurts is incredibly young. Jalen Hurts is only 24 years old. So you'd assume, okay, if he is an elite level quarterback this season, he's only 24 years old. Isn't he a first-round Dynasty startup pick? You have seen some people evaluating him in that range. And my question is with the long-term job security here with Jalen Hurts. Because with Hurts, he's the perfect example of a quarterback that can easily fail from a real-life perspective. But from a fantasy football perspective, it simply may not matter, because at the end of the day, hell, when he starts, he has the rushing upside where you know you're going to put him in your starting lineup. This is why in that 2020 rookie class, I was picking up a crap ton of Jalen Hurts in the late second, early third round of those rookie drafts. That was back when Carson Wentz was still there. However, from a Dynasty perspective, if Jalen Hurts were to fail this upcoming season, if Jalen Hurts was put in this situation where the team went all in on his weapons, they put him up in the best situation possible, given the fact that he has very little invested into him by this team. He was a second-round draft pick back in 2020. I would not be surprised at all if Jalen Hurts was not a starting quarterback next year. Now, he most likely is. He most likely is. But it is in the range of outcomes where the Philadelphia Eagles, if they fail, they blame Jalen Hurts. And given the fact that, historically speaking, those quarterbacks that weren't top 10 picks, these teams, especially in recent years, are willing to churn through these guys. I am more worried about investing into Jalen Hurts with a mid-second round startup pick than I would be of just getting Dak Prescott. Where Dak Prescott, I think Jalen Hurts outscores him from a points per game basis probably through the rest of their careers. But I'm also very, very confident at the same time to say that Dak Prescott's starting next year. Dak Prescott's starting the year after that. Dak Prescott's starting the year after that. Look at the contract he has in Dallas. So I love Jalen Hurts from a redraft perspective, but I think in Dynasty, maybe it's gone a little bit too far. Go see if you can trade him for Dak. And now our next player. I'm not a massive fan of his redraft ADP, and his Dynasty ADP is even worse. I'll go out on a limb and I'll say he is maybe one of the most overrated players in Dynasty Fantasy Football in particular. Every analyst loves him. Michael Pittman. With Michael Pittman going to Keep Trade Cut, you can see at one point this offseason, He was the wide receiver 24 on Keep Trade Cut. And with the hype he has gotten leading up till NFL kickoff, you've all heard reception perception. You all heard the fantasy football. Everybody has Michael Pittman Jr. as their elite level breakout. This is why the wide receiver going into year 3 of his NFL career in redraft leagues is currently being drafted as a top 12 option. Now, he's being drafted as the wide receiver 9 in Dynasty. The wide receiver 9. He is being drafted before Jalen Waddle. He is being drafted before Russell Wilson. He is being drafted before Devontae Adams, Saquon Barkley, DK Metcalf. Like, I could never imagine in a million years investing into Michael Pittman Jr. at this price tag. If we take a step back, I get it. He was a very impressive wide receiver his second season. His second season in the league, even though he was a 4-year player at USC, so it's a little bit older than a regular second season wide receiver. He came out, he dominated. He had almost a 25% team target share. That's something that you love to see. He gets the quarterback upgrade from Carson Wentz to Matt Ryan. But because this team's identity is Jonathan Taylor and running the football, where they want to run the ball over and over and over again, last season, despite having that 25% team target share, he was the wide receiver 28 on a points per game basis. Now, I know everybody's going to go to the comment section and tell me, Mason, you clown, you idiot, he wasn't the wide receiver 28. Yeah, because everybody in your favorite podcast is just using season totals where, yeah, he played all 17 games. So compared to other wide receivers that missed 1 to 2 games, maybe he jumps them in the standings. But no, from a points per game perspective, just pull up Fantasy Pros, count the list down. Wide receiver 28, high-end wide receiver 3. Now you have additional target competition with Alec Pierce coming in, with Paris Campbell hopefully being healthy this upcoming season. And this should be one of the most run-heavy teams in the NFL yet again this year. I don't see it with Michael Pittman. Matt Ryan's not a long-term answer at quarterback. How would I ever take Michael Pittman over Jalen Waddle? Whereas Jalen Waddle as a rookie last season was a low-end wide receiver 1, high-end wide receiver 2, a significantly better season from a per-game standpoint than Michael Pittman as a rookie, where he compared to guys like Julio Jones, AJ Green historically. Like, I could never imagine paying up for Michael Pittman as the wide receiver 9. But let's move beyond this. Let's go over to someone that we really liked as a rookie coming in last year. I actually had him ranked above Jalen Waddle. I'll take my L on that one. Elijah Moore. Here with Elijah Moore, I mean, this is a wide receiver that's recently moved up to being the wide receiver 17 before guys like Godwin, Jameson Williams, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Devonta Smith. I'm fine if you want to move Elijah Moore here. There's not too much I could discuss. I mean, this is one flat tier. What I would say is, dear God, looking a little later on, like Matthew Stafford being behind Elijah Moore, that is crazy in my opinion. I mean, maybe also looking at the fact that you can just go trade him for a couple 2023 picks. Like maybe that would be a better way to go about that. But Elijah Moore has been someone that gained a lot of value. I think it's still probably a pretty bad situation, but he's a great prospect coming out of Ole Miss. And at the same time, he had a very good rookie season, still incredibly young. So if you wanted to draft Elijah Moore now as the wide receiver 17 in Dynasty, the price is probably a little bit too steep for me, where I do prefer like Matthew Stafford in the 12-team Superflex format, but I'm not going to come out here and try to roast anybody for making this pick. And then our next selection is going to be A.J. Dillon. A.J. Dillon, running back 16 now in Dynasty. And I would be interested in selling A.J. Dillon because I've had a lot of questions as of late down there in the comment section of people asking A.J. Dillon versus a 2023 first in a 12-team Superflex format. I'm going to take the first because with Dillon here, I'll admit he has the contingency value where if Aaron Jones were to go down, A.J. Dillon wins fantasy football leagues, and that's not up for debate. That would happen. But if Aaron Jones were to stay healthy, Aaron Jones is going to get almost every single target out of this backfield. We have not seen enough to assume that A.J. Dillon will have the red zone role either. So I think at this point, where there's so much optimism for A.J. Dillon, if we can go out of our way, if we can sell him for that 2023 first in a 12-team Superflex format, I'm doing it. If we can go sell him for Matthew Stafford, I'm doing it. If we could sell him for Deontay Johnson, I'm doing it. Maybe even when we get to guys like Chris Olave, Jameson Williams. I hate to bring this up because it's very similar to Jalen Hurts, who we talked about at the very beginning. A.J. Dillon and Jalen Hurts were like some of my most drafted guys in rookie drafts back in 2020. But that was because they were valued as a late second-round pick early third round rookie pick. So I think this is probably a pretty good selling price of A.J. Dillon. And now our next guy, very, very similar to Michael Pittman. I don't understand it. Clayton Sutton right now, wide receiver 20 in Dynasty. Wide receiver 20 in Dynasty. If we go through, look at Clayton Sutton, at one point last March 2022, Clayton Sutton was down there as the wide receiver 48. Obviously, a lot's happened since then. You got Russell Wilson coming over. You have the Tim Patrick injury as well. But my issue with this is if you look at my redraft rankings, I have Sutton and Jerry Jeudy ranked back-to-back. While I do think that way too many people are overly confident that Clayton Sutton is the wide receiver 1 here in Denver this upcoming season, based on the fact that when both Jerry Jeudy and Clayton Sutton have been on the field together, you have had Jerry Jeudy dominate Clayton Sutton during those 11 games where he's doubled Sutton with the receiving yards per game. Now, if you want to take Sutton over Jeudy in redraft leagues, I personally probably wouldn't do it. I'd rather just wait around and get Jerry Jeudy a little later. However, if we are going to be looking at Dynasty, Jerry Jeudy is almost 4 years younger. He is almost 4 years younger than Clayton Sutton. And I think that he has a realistic chance to be the wide receiver 1 over Sutton this upcoming season. And we have Jerry Jeudy ranked as the 74th player according to Keep Trade Cut. Clayton Sutton almost 20 spots higher when Sutton's going to be 27 years old this upcoming season. Like, Clayton Sutton is older than Chris Godwin. Like, what I want to do is I want to take Sutton, trade him for Godwin straight up, or take Clayton Sutton, move him for Jerry Jeudy, and possibly get another piece on top of it. Or hell, I would sell Sutton for Amon-Ra St. Brown. I would sell him for Devonta Smith. I would sell him for Kittle, Chris Olave, a future first, Matthew Stafford, Deontay Johnson, Garrett Wilson. There are so many of these guys in this range I'd be willing to sell Sutton for. Now, our next wide receiver is going to be George Pickens. With Pickens, we always said he had a very wide range of outcomes, where I thought that if you were taking him before guys like Chris Olave, Jameson Williams, Garrett Wilson, Treylon Burks, way too aggressive. Like, no, you can't do that based on the profiles we have with those other rookie wide receivers. But after that, then hell yeah, George Pickens had a lot of upside. Pittsburgh has historically been great at selecting those wide receivers in the NFL draft, great at developing those wide receivers after they get there. And with George Pickens, every report coming out of training camp, every report coming out of really Pittsburgh over the past 3 months, it's just been saying, oh yeah, George Pickens, that guy, Pickens, the rookie. Oh my, no, that's Megatron. This is this generation's Megatron. Like, they have been absurd, where I think with Pickens, I'm fine with the rise. I'm fine with George Pickens now being drafted as a wide receiver 3 in Dynasty. I don't think we can come out here and tell you, oh, it's an easy sell. Go sell George Pickens for someone like Mike Williams, Derek Carr, Tua Tagovailoa. There are a couple players behind him that I would prefer. I would prefer Jeudy. I probably would prefer like Hollywood Brown, maybe a couple of these quarterbacks in this range, but definitely not as egregious of a value as what you're getting with guys like Clayton Sutton or Michael Pittman. And now let's move over to another rookie, someone that I think you could at this point take as the 101 in a Dynasty startup and nobody's going to bat their eye. Damien Pierce. Now with Damien Pierce, for anybody who drafted him in round 3 of your rookie draft, great selection. You win. You won. Congrats. We have not even seen a down of football, and you've been able to flip your 2022 third round rookie pick for a 2023 first. You are start your own YouTube channel. Please come take over, make videos for the Dynasty Football Vlog, because you are smarter than me, I guarantee it. But that's only if you're selling him for that 2023 first right now, because with Damien Pierce, this is a player that right now on Keep Trade Cut is worth more than a future first, is worth more than Kenny Pickett. And this is Superflex. It's the easiest sell of all time, because if we go through, if we just think about the range of outcomes here, the perfect example of a running back coming from day 3, crushing as a rookie, exceeding all expectations, being the biggest rookie hit you're going to find, was last year Elijah Mitchell. Last year, Elijah Mitchell was another day 3 rookie that went after the first 100 picks in the NFL draft and he averaged 100 total yards a game as a rookie. I think we all agree if Damien Pierce averages 100 total yards a game as a rookie, oh my God, great pick. But at the same time, where is he valued next offseason? Where does the Dynasty Fantasy Football community value these players that had that limited team investment that maybe churn through and maybe the next James Robinson, where the team turns around and selects a running back in the first round? Maybe the next, I don't even want to say it, Phillip Lindsay. Maybe the next Elijah Mitchell. Because Elijah Mitchell right now, which I would argue is best case scenario for Damien Pierce, if that happens, like, oh my gosh, you have to be so excited, is being drafted behind Damien Pierce on Keep Trade Cut. His best case scenario in a significantly better offense like San Francisco, Kyle Shanahan, or Houston. Please go sell Damien Pierce. I want to congratulate everybody who was able to make that pick. But at the end of the day, this is a running back that doesn't have the team investment to be guaranteed that starting job for a very long time. And if you're a true contender, how much do you actually need him? If you're a true contender, I would make the argument that you're probably better off moving Damien Pierce for Leonard Fournette, who's currently behind him, or, Elijah Mitchell. Just literally go trade Damien Pierce for Elijah Mitchell, a guy with the similar profile that we already saw hit for 100 total yards a game as a rookie. Now, I think that's all I got for y'all. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please go down to the comment section. Let me know what you thought. And again, thank you so much for everything. 20,000 subscribers. I did not even know there were 20,000 people who played Dynasty. Obviously, the past few years have changed a few things with Sleeper, with, I guess, YouTube just getting bigger as well. But crazy. Y'all know I love Dynasty Fantasy Football. There's nothing on this planet I enjoy more. I can't wait to continue to make videos for y'all. And thank you again for everything. I appreciate you. And please go down to the comment section. Let me know how I can improve for you. Let me know how stupid I am. Whatever you want to tell me, I'll be reading it. But thank you again. I appreciate you. And I hope I get to see you tonight on the live stream.